welcome to another episode of Disaster Empire Quick Views. I'm Ashley Guzman and excited to have with us today Doniella McKoy. And so before we dive in and get started, I want to throw it over to Doniella and ask her to talk a little bit about her background for those of you who haven't met her before. Hi, Doniella. Welcome.
Hi, Ashley. Thank you for having me. Audience, nice to meet you digitally, virtually. My name is Doniella McKoy. I am a certified business continuity professional through DRI as well as the BCI. I'm currently a lecturer and I have taught in the United States and currently teach in the United Arab Emirates. My background is I started in emergency management, getting my degree, my master's degree from Boston University, and then taking the trek to FEMA Corps and being able to go all around the country, training at the actual National Response Center, as well as working with unaccompanied minors. And when that was done, I was able to go to my home state and worked at OEM, New York City OEM, and was doing continuity of operations. So that was my first experience with continuity and resiliency. And eventually I ended up going to Pennsylvania and was running a business continuity program for a health insurer. So I absolutely love resilience and working with others, and I'm happy to be here.
So excited to be able to talk to you again. You and I have chatted before. So I did want to share with this audience some of the conversation we had in the past about how you got into this work, because it's always something, interesting. A lot of people are voluntold in their, current position, right, to get into it. But you had a little bit of a different pathway about how you got interested into emergency management and resilience work. Can you share that?
Yes. So I actually just was casually watching the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith in it. And I actually was a little bit taken aback about the beginning where the people weren't able to get off the island or out of the city. So I made the decision that I was going to be the person to make sure everyone got out safely. So one day I'm going to write a letter to Will Smith and thank him for this career path.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, and can you talk a little bit more about your experience with FEMA and emergency management and volunteering? Because I think, at least so far, not much of my audience has had a chance to really talk to someone and hear from someone who took that pathway into the work. How was that for you? And how do you think it's helped you in progression in terms of your career?
I think it's been a game changer for me. So, volunteering can be a little bit difficult in the beginning. They put us in 3 different, they call them rounds, and you go across the country. So you are away from your family and you're building relationships with people from all over the country. So it's different personalities, different upbringings. But the truth of the matter is when you get into an emergency or disaster type situation, you do need to be able to handle multiple personalities and decision-making processes and management styles. So it really opened up my eyes to, how the process works at a federal level, right? So it's very interesting from my perspective. I started at the federal level and then jumped down to the local level. But New York City is not small in any way, shape, or form. So it's still, was a well-oiled machine and really a great experience. But if you have the capacity to take, a year out of the master plan, so to speak, I do recommend it. I was one of the first classes, so to speak, to go through the program, and they have made, a bunch of improvements. And by improvements, I mean, like, now you're kind of more intertwined into the federal system. And so if you want to continue with that, you kind of have a leg up. So they really incorporated some of the recommendations that we came up with, but just the opportunity to see the country, sign me up.
Yep. Thank you so much for that. I think it's really important for people to hear all of the different ways that you can get into this work and how you could be inspired to do that. I know that you go by the moniker Mrs. Preparedness. And so can you share with this audience why preparedness is so important to you and why you feel like you need to kind of spread the word about it?
Sure. And so I chose that, and I made sure it was the MRS because I'm married to this, right? I want this to be a part of my daily activities. I think there's a beauty in self-sufficiency and personal resilience, right? But we don't know what we don't know. And so that's kind of why I want to share this message with others, right? The average person doesn't know how many gallons of water they need per day to survive. It's just not a normal conversation. You know, that idea of where you just take the batteries out of the remote and you keep it going. No, you need an extra set. Yeah. All these little things that we can do that maybe would take us an hour, maybe two, to prepare ourselves to really keep ourselves comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. We have a lot of that power, right? But we do need to share that. And I think as an industry, we're getting more and more time, you know, front row and center to be able to share this message. But it still has a long way to go, especially in different communities.
Absolutely. I know we've chatted in the past. You've been passionate about that and really serving the community as a whole. And so I'm so excited to see you serving the global community now in your work. So, you know, you've really walked the walk and talked the talk in that respect. And as you're looking to educate, right, the next generation of business continuity and resilience professionals. So thank you for that. Hey, I'm going to ask you a question that I ask all of my guests, and that is, how do you define resilience?
Resilience is the ability to overcome a large-scale incident, accident. We use these words interchangeably, with the understanding that you may not go back to the way that it was. So, you don't have to get back to point A. Maybe it's A.1, but you get back to where you were and you get close to that because of what you have planned and prepared and how your mental health is, your physical health is, emotional health is, and your support system and resources are.
Thank you for all of that. I agree with you totally that it's so important to have that spectrum of resilience built up from a personal level. And you're doing it so that you can help others as well. Hey, I wanted to ask you about what you're currently doing. And, you know, you have a great perspective because you've worked on, you know, the federal emergency management side, volunteer side in the U.S. You worked in the business continuity space, you know, on the for-profit side or the private side, and now you've stepped into the academic realm. Can you share for this audience what that's been like for you and what you're looking to achieve?
My main goal is to get the next set of practitioners ready to rock. You know, I don't, if there's a way or a person that I can help them not have so much downtime or such a learning curve, I think that's a job well done. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but business continuity is needed, risk management is needed, incident response is needed, disaster recovery is needed. The list goes on. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So my job now is to prepare these students to be able to just step into those roles a little bit easier. Now, there's always something to be said about actual on-the-job experience. But when you can have a conversation with an entry-level, you know, professional, and they know what you're talking about, that learning curve decreases significantly so they can really start contributing to that community or that organization.
Thanks, Doniella. Can you share a little bit more about the program at Rabdan Academy? Because I think that you have, you know, some people who are very green, very new to the work, and I think there might be a little bit more of some seasoned professionals in the program as well. Is that correct?
So we are a bachelor's program. So most of our students are age, you know, 18 to 24, but we do have some that are a little bit older. And we do have international students as well. And that number seems to be growing every semester. So that's pretty cool. We did have someone, an exchange student from VCU, Virginia, Commonwealth University last semester. So that was nice. But yeah, it's a bachelor's program. Right now we're having emergency management and business continuity. So they're two separate programs. But they, we share a lot of the content together. So I mainly teach business continuity courses, but I also teach emergency management when there's a need.
Thank you for sharing that, because I think it's also very interesting for all of us to hear those programs that are out there and what's available, because many of us are very interested in supporting the next generation of professionals, whether, as you said, it's on the emergency management or the business continuity side. We all need that resilience framework in place. So thank you so much for that. And hey, I wanted to ask you a final question. And just as you're going into this year, and what are the most significant lessons from your perspective that you think have been learned over the last few years? And from your vantage point, what should we be looking to do going into the year and into the near future?
I think we're going to have to focus a little bit more on the human aspect of continuity and resiliency. So from an academic perspective, it's a part of my job to help them mature, not just as students, but as human beings, right? So they are in these structured, maybe even sheltered environments. And this is not just students here. This is students in America as well, right? Because you're told what to do. You're told what time to go to school. You're told what time to go to work, right? And then after this part of your life, the amount of freedom that is placed in your hand, no one really teaches you how to do that, right? So it's not just teaching them what's in the textbook or what's in these articles, but how to manage themselves to be adults, to be professionals, right? So I think focusing on the human being and how to develop that person will really pay dividends in the industry, right? Because when I make a decision, right, at my last job, when I made a decision, it wasn't just me or my department or the people in the building, right? We had 280,000 different members, right? These are all people that are having our product, right? So I have to think way more than just my household or even just my community. And so when we can find and develop individuals that have good ethics and morals and are really wanting to benefit more than just themselves, we're really putting our...
Thank you for that, Doniella. Hey, before we close out today, I wanted to ask you, what are the most significant lessons that you believe from your vantage point that we can learn from over the last few years and take with us into this year?
I think especially in the pandemic, we really were looking at, social distancing and things like that and isolation. And I think we learned from that we really do need to work together. The community does need to stay together. We do need to support each other. It doesn't matter if you want to work from home or in the office, we still are connected. And so one of the things that I would like for us to do going forward is to really focus on the individual, the human that's involved in these decisions for resiliency, communities, cities, countries. And so if we're developing those individuals as people and they understand that it's not just about them and that those decisions trickle across, I think we're really going to make leaps and bounds, because most of the decisions that we make really do have a long-lasting impact, whether it's how much money you spend on the hot side, warm side, getting the backup, protecting your data, a range of things. So making sure that people kind of understand their reach and showing them that they have value, right? The value to keep that business going. And that's really the major thing. So I think we're doing a good job, especially with these students coming up, because they want this, right? They're not being voluntold. So we're already, they're already a leg up.
Step ahead. Yeah. Thanks for that. Hey, is there anything else that you want to share today that we haven't talked about yet?
If you are on LinkedIn, please connect with me. I am basically on there daily. That's my social media of choice. So please reach out, Doniella McKoy. And I am looking forward to hopefully publishing my first articles in 2023. That's the goal that I have set for myself. So I guess that's my New Year's resolution. So anyone who has interest in that, business continuity, emergency management, please, let's definitely connect. I like to collaborate, so that would be a fun opportunity, I think.
Excellent. And I'll make sure to link to your information below. And when those papers come out, please send them my way, and I'll definitely share them with the network as well. So congratulations on that. Hey, and finally, you've hosted a coffee chat for the last few years. So do you want to share with people about how they might get involved and network with you further? With that, I'm really hoping to join one this year.
Yeah, so I'm actually in the process of changing the date. I just created the links maybe half an hour before this. So we are moving it to Thursday mornings, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, which is going to be 5:30 GST. So that's Gulf Standard Time. And then when the daylight saving changes, it will be 4:30 Gulf Standard Time. The Fridays were a little bit rough for me because I only have a half a day. And so I was always going back and forth. So we're going to do Thursdays. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, I will be happy to send you the link. We do have a really nice group, and it's quite informal because it's my evening, their morning. So, after work, before work, or right at the start of work. And people just come with what's on their mind. So, hey, I'm looking at softwares. What are your experiences with softwares? Hey, I have this boss that's saying this. What do you guys think? And we really try to, support each other and help each other. So bring your ideas, bring your topics of conversations. We kind of keep it loose, and we have a range of experiences. So students are welcome, and seasoned professionals as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Really enjoyed talking to you again. And thank you for being here from Dubai. So great to have the global element to the podcast and to hear from you again. Thank you so much, Doniella. Great to talk to you.
Thank you. Take care.